All right. Hi, everybody. So today we're going to talk about used car stocking and how to figure that out. We talked about new car stocking in the last few videos. So let's shift over to used cars because I had a lot of requests of people asking about used car information. So here's my favorite example. You send one of your managers out to the grocery store to get you some milk. And that's all you say. Hey, go get me some milk. What do you think he's going to come back with? Is it going to be a gallon, a half gallon? Is it going to be whole milk? Is it going to be 2%, 1%, skim milk, oat milk, goat milk, almond milk, and I don't know how many other milks there are nowadays, but you're just leaving it wide open. And who knows what you're going to get back? And he's going to come back with milk. And how can you get mad at him? Because that's all you told him to is just get me some milk. And so used cars is no different, right? Except the dollars are that much bigger. You're telling your used car manager, hey, go get me some used cars. And he's going to go get you some used cars. But you got to give more direction. You got to give more specificity. Tough word to say. I don't even know if I said it right. But anyway, you got to be more specific and come up with a plan and give them direction. So how do you come up with that plan, and what's the direction that you give your managers? So it's very similar to what we talked about with new cars. So we start with, what's your objective? Let's assume that your objective is to sell 80 units out of your store. So you've got 80 units that you want to sell. In my opinion, you should have 80 retail units on the ground. And that's what you need. That way you can have enough to sell the 30 days worth. You're going to help to limit the amount of wholesale loss, aging, and everything else that comes along with having too much inventory on the ground. So 80 units, you can allow a buffer for reconditioning. So if you can say, all right, if it takes me 3 days to recondition a car, let's call it 5 days max to get a car from the auction or somewhere else where you get it, right? So you'll have an 85 days, a 35 days supply worth of cars. So on an 80 unit dealership, or an 80 unit used car department, you're going to have 30 days worth, so 80 cars plus an extra 5 days. So take the 80 units, divide that by 30 days, multiply that times 5. That's an extra 13 or so units, right? So you're going to have 93 units on the lot. So so you've got 93 units that you're gonna go after. So how are you gonna break up those 93 units? So the first thing I think you need to determine is how many of those units are going to be your brand. All right. So how many do you want that are going to be either certified or just your brand? I would think probably close to half. Again, it all depends on the brand. If your brand does not sell well new, maybe you don't want to have half in used cars. So that's all going to be dependent on what you're doing. So let's assume that it's your brand, and that your brand is a good brand, and you're going to stock half of those. So 40 some odd cars are going to be your same brand. So then break that down. So 40 some odd cars, right? Let's just call it 50 to round it up, right? 50 cars are going to be your same brand. What models do you want to stock? What years do you want to stock? So if they're going to be 23 model year, let's just use Honda, right? So 23 model year Honda Accord, what trim level are you going to get? LX, EX, EXL. They're all going to sell at a different rate, and they're all going to have their own demand. So you've got to go figure out what sells faster, and what's going to be the best car to stock, right? So there's different tools out there. I'm familiar with vAuto and the stocking tools that they have, which gives you a lot of good information, but you can get some decent information from AutoTrader as well, and some of the other third parties on what it is that's happening. And I'm sure some of the other inventory tools that are out there probably give you some good information on what to go and stock. So you sit down, you come up with a template of what it is that you want to stock, and then compare that to what you've got in inventory. And I think you're going to find that there's a huge disparity, right? And so that is, just something to work at. Don't get down on it, but you're at least going to start noticing that, hey, I sell these cars pretty fast, right? I do pretty well with these, and I only have one left, or I have zero left in stock. that could be why you're having a bad used car month, right? That could be why you're getting no used car leads or used car traffic. And you're thinking, hey, what is it? And I got to go spend more money on used cars, or I'm going to go beat up the BDC, or who knows what else. But what you're not looking at is the first problem, right? And is I don't have the right stuff on the shelf. And nobody wants what I've got on the shelf. And so that's why I'm struggling and why I'm not getting the traffic. So come up with that template for what you want to stock on your brand cars, year, model, trim level, mileage, vehicle condition, right? Are you okay with cars with dirty Carfaxes? Are you okay with cars with frame damage, with unibody, with body panels that have been painted, who knows what, right? Cars that have been modified, you name it, right? Just set the parameters up on what you want and be clear. And if somebody wants to deviate from those parameters, then they got to come see you, and you got to be the one that approves whether you're going to take that car or not. Because I've always been of the belief that in order to really get everything you can out of a dealership or out of any business, you've got to have some flexibility, right? You've got to be able to say, okay, I know this is the structure that I want, but if you can make a case for an exception that you want to bring in, and I feel good about it, and I want to give it a shot, then great, bring it to me, and I'm willing to hear it, and we'll figure it out together. And maybe I'll say yes, maybe I'll say no, but at least I'm opening to listen. So do that for your same brand, and then go to off-brand cars, right? And so what do you want to stock in off-brand? And here I do it by category, and start breaking it out by small SUV, midsize SUV, large SUV. Are you a truck market? Is your dealership going to be able to sell trucks, right? If you're a Cadillac dealer, you might not be able to sell pickup trucks because you're not prone to selling that. If you're a Lexus dealer, maybe you're not selling a Chevy Silverado or GMC Sierra or Ford F-150. So you've got to, this is going to take some of your knowledge along with data that's out there. Just because something's selling well at another dealership or in your market doesn't mean it's going to sell well in your dealership. So so you've got to really sit down and think that through and think, okay, what am I going to stock in these different categories? Again, use the data, use maybe your sales history, look at what you sold, look at the grosses of what you sold, look at the aging of what you sold. Again, you can get this from your DMS. You can get it from tools like Reverse Risk. You can get it from vAuto. Again, there's a bunch of different ways that you can get this information and try and put up something, right? And put something together, and don't look for perfection, right? Just get started with something, and you'll start tweaking it from there. You'll start seeing what's working and what's not working. But break it down. How many? Let's assume you're going to have small SUVs, midsize SUVs, and large SUVs. So how many of those do you want in each one of those categories? If it's 5, 5, and 5, or 7, 7, and 7, whatever that might be. What are the years, makes, models, trim levels, colors, mileage band, vehicle condition that you want in each one of those, and then compare that to what you've got in inventory, and then go to the next type of car that you're going to stock, right? Is it going to be sedans? Is it going to be compact sedans? Whatever else is out there that you're gonna have. So set this up for you. Give yourself a little bit of structure. It takes work, but if you do it like you do it for new cars, it's going to make your life a whole heck of a lot easier, right? So you're willing to spend an hour, 2 hours looking at marketing. You're willing to go spend an hour, 2 hours drilling through your BDC leads and finding out why you're not getting appointments or doing all kinds of other stuff. Spend the time here, front load it, do this template for yourself, do it for your managers, share it with your managers, and then review it. And you constantly have to be looking at what you've got in stock on the used car lot versus your template. You can adjust your template up or down, but don't do it as a result of what you have in inventory. Do it as a result of, hey, something's not working from my first analysis, and go back and revisit it and adjust your template. But don't go and spend $1 million, $2 million. I mean, if we're talking about 90 cars, let's call it an average of $30,000 a car. You're talking about $2.7 million. Again, if you were to invest $2.7 million of cash in the stock market or in any type of other investment, are you going to go research that investment and research where you're going to put that money? Or are you just going to say, here you go, just go invest my money for me and not worry about it, right? So take the time, set up a template for yourself, and make sure you stock the right cars.